It might still look like a pile of junk, but it's actually come quite a long way since September last year. And on that note, it's beer time. Happy Easter, everybody. Hello and welcome to episode 22 of Missle Industries Ford Falcon XC351 Crusty wagon project. Now, when I left off the last episode, I was contemplating my next move with this car. Now, I can't really move the car until I can get the brakes to work, so what I think I'll do today is get the brakes sorted out, and primarily that's going to involve replacing that brake master cylinder that I discovered was weeping last week. So I was on eBay last Sunday and I ordered a new master cylinder, and I ordered a pair of RDA slotted and dimpled brake rotors, exactly the same as the ones I put in my sedan. They arrived on Thursday. So that was great timing, which means I get to spend Easter weekend doing this brake overhaul on this car. So hopefully at the end of this video I'll have a braking system that works, maybe even a handbrake that works. So I'm expecting the brake master cylinder to be much of a muchness. I really do hope it is the one I need, and I would say that's exactly what I need. All the ports are in the right place, even has the plug, what I'm assuming is the low fluid warning light on the dash, so that's good. And the brake rotors, what I'm really concerned about with the brake rotors is they actually have the bearing races installed in them, like it said on the eBay ad, because it said 70mm bearing races installed, which I think is only half the equation. What I need is both bearing races installed, and I would say, yep, it's got both bearing races installed, so that's good. While I'm here, I should probably plumb up the vent system for the rock cover into the back of the carby, like the other car has. I've actually got that bonnet open on the sedan so I can replicate all of the hose routing for the brake booster and the crankcase ventilation for this motor, since none of that was in place when I got the car. It was all missing. So hopefully it all works out and it all plumbs back in, because I'm going to need a brake booster if I want these brakes to work. Should probably address that fuel leak while I'm here too. For the time being, I have found the original hose that came inside this car, and I've found an O-ring to make it work with my chrome rocker covers. So it's time to put this together, put the vacuum hose in, and tick that job off my to-do list. Ta-da! I love a solution I can deploy for free from things I have lying around in my garage. It's an argument for hoarding, if ever there was one. So that's my crankcase ventilation taken care of. Now I need to find fittings and hoses to do my brake booster vacuum. So I've got a couple of solutions here. This is a factory BMW vacuum hose pipe with the factory BMW fitting. I'm pretty sure they're the same size as the vacuum port on this booster. If it'll even fit in, yeah, I think that would probably do the trick once it's hammered all the way home. Obviously the pipe's a bit short. Or I can just deploy this fitting here, which I think is another BMW vacuum hose fitting of some kind that I've got lying around. So I'm just going to see if I can pop that in. Might respond better to a bit of Vaseline. There we go. I can just jam that in there, and then just find a piece of hose to go on each end. That will take care of that. In you go, son. In you go. Oh, here we go. That looks pretty damn good. Clears the master cylinder. That's pretty snug. So I just need some hose to go from here to there. Maybe I have some more spare hose in here. This is my leftovers from BMW project, which took all kinds of hoses to finally get it over the finish line. And I'm not sure that I have any convenient donor pieces of vacuum hose left in this box. So that's annoying. I might have to go and scrounge some from my stack of random hoses over there. Looking suspiciously like a water hose. There must be something that I can bludge. Something that'll save me a trip to Super Cheap Autos. Oh, what's this clear plastic hose? Jesus, that was close. Ta-da! Both those lines plumbed in now. I've got a sneaky suspicion there's a vacuum port that goes to the transmission that I need to find the line for, because under the car there is actually a vacuum line that needs to find a home. So I'll get into that once I have a good hard look at my sedan to see where it's supposed to go and what solenoid it's supposed to connect to, because I have a sneaky suspicion that's going to be something of vital concern. So the master cylinder is in. Had a few dramas with that because the threads weren't as crisp as the factory PBR master cylinder threads. And it felt like they were just going to keep galling up. But after running a tap through the old master cylinder and then the new master cylinder, the threads felt fine, so I just went with it. Hopefully they don't leak or seep. In other news, I'm trying to get this carby to stop leaking, and this fuel inlet pipe arrangement has always been a problem. This is a leftover from my other car, because I went with a nice black one, and I did get it to seal on the other car with this carby, so I know it can be done, but right now it just wants to leak and leak and leak and leak. This is probably my 5th attempt to get it to stop leaking, and if you look closely, it is still dripping. Car fires right up, runs like a champ, but it just doesn't want to stop leaking. So it's day 2 of my brake repair project, and the master cylinder is in, and now I'm trying to pull some fluid through the brake lines get the brakes to come up. I've also realised that I don't have any inner stub axle seals for my new disc brake rotors, so they're just going to sit over there for the time being until the shops are open again. But for now, I'm just trying to get the fluid through the brake lines, and so far nothing's coming out, nothing's going through, so I'm going to open up all the brake bleed nipples on all of the brakes and see if I can get anything to come out of any of them after I give the brakes a good pump. If that doesn't work, I'm probably going to have to start pulling brake lines out and poking whips of wire down them to see if I can unclog them, which I'm not looking forward to. So the shortest line on the car is not blocked, which also happens to be the one that I've had the most dramas getting to reseal, so that's clearly working. So that's a start, I guess. Only 3 to go. So it's the afternoon of day 2, and what I've discovered that I need to do is unclog each one of these brake lines individually. Now, the front left brake line, the flexible line was clogged, so I've unclogged that. Now I've got fluid running to the brake caliper. Now I've just connected the hard line to the rear flexible line, and the hard line is dripping some brake fluid. Just not exactly a torrent, and again that might all change when I put my foot on the brake pedal. So if I had to take a punt, I would say this rear flexible line probably needs to be unclogged by removing it from the car and giving it a blast with compressed air. Hopefully once that happens I'll be able to bleed up the rear of the system. But so far I have the front end bled up. I'm going to have to go through and do it all again once I can figure out if I can get fluid to come through to the back end. And that's where I'm at with that. Have I mentioned how much I hate working with brake fluid? It's one of my pet peeves for doing this kind of stuff. I hate brake fluid. Hate it. Just get in there and push it down when Dad says push it down.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Alright. Hello, Evie. Hello. Alright. Push the pedal down.
Yep.
Oh, stop. That's excellent. Okay, so plenty of fluids moving through that line. Okay, so I've established that the hard line to the diff is good. So since I've cracked the lines from the flexible line to the brake drums and there's no fluid coming out of there, I think the problem is the soft line again, so that's convenient. I can pull that out and I'll have a crack at cleaning it out. So the hard line for the rear axle is out, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I should be able to see light through there, and I can't. There's no light coming through there, so I would say this is the root of my problems. Soft lines are all full of corrosion and gunk, so let's have at it and see if I can fix this one too. Very gunked up. Might be hard to tell from here, but there's actually a piece of copper coated welding wire in that T-junction there right at the end of this flexible line. So that means the way is clear. And I'll blast some brake cleaner through this line and put it back in the car and see if I can get any fluid to my rear drums. Time to see if the driver's side rear hard line is clear. I have the bleed valve off. I'm about to put some air through the hard line and see if it blows out through the bleed valve hole, and if it does, we are full steam ahead to put this rear brake system back together again and bleed it up. Woo! That is a go. I'll put it all back together again now, and hopefully it bleeds up all right. So great news, the brake fluid has made it to the back axle and has leaked everywhere because I left the bleed valves open just to see if I could hasten the fluid into the cylinders, and it's there on both sides. Both bleed nipples are now weeping fluid, particularly the one closest to the valve, which is sprayed it everywhere. So now I'm just going to bleed everything up once and for all and wrap this up. Alright, brakes are bled up and that pedal is feeling rock solid. Going to put some more fluid into the master cylinder there, put the lid on and stick the wheels back on the car and do the summary for this episode. Summary time for episode 22 of Missle Industries Ford Falcon 351 Crusty wagon project. Now I'm going to claim a resounding success on today's effort because this morning I started and I realised I didn't have seals for my new brake rotors, so that shit canned any possibility of me putting those on Easter Sunday. And so what I thought was going to be a simple bleed up and wrap up project turned into an all-day nightmare of removing every line, cleaning it out and refitting it, and then bleeding everything up late in the afternoon. I feel like today I have snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Victory from the jaws of defeat. That's the phrase I'm looking for. So, regretfully, I won't be backing this car out of the driveway today because it's almost 6 p.m. But what I think I'll do next episode is get this car back on the ground, back it out of the shed under its own steam, which should theoretically be doable now that it has brakes and a car that runs and drives and starts and stops. So there we go. Next episode I'll do a bit of a walk around update, because it might still look like a pile of junk, but it's actually come quite a long way since September last year. And on that note, it's beer time. Happy Easter, everybody.